So the next few steps in this assignment, first I'll open Wekinator from my start menu. Now I need to make sure that my inputs, my screen over here, matches what I've got going on over here. So 2 inputs, so my input box should be 2. That goes to wec/inputs, that's where I'm sending it, so that's right. Port 6448, again, all right, I can start listening. I'll need to click that at some point. Now outputs here, I'm just making one classifier, so it's just one output, and it's a classifier, so default settings. The classifier I'm going to build here, I'm going to maybe try to take this and classify sort of the edges, sort of like a stage. Maybe I'm on the edge of the stage, or on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side, or right in the middle, sort of under a spotlight. So maybe those are the 4 classes that I'll use. It doesn't really matter as long as I have this number greater than the classes that I'll actually use. That should be okay. I'll do next here. Now, something that's really important is just making sure that everything is working properly. So you can see here in this new project, I've got OSC in, so that's that open sound controller. It's feeding that input in. It's green, which says it's accepting inputs. But then to get even more information, you can go to View and click Inputs here. And that will give you a separate little window that shows that you are actually getting the inputs you say you're getting. So it says it's listening for those 2 inputs, and you can see the values. And as I move the box around, you should be able to see those inputs change. So that's, again, just a good check that everything is working properly. The other thing, if this isn't green right here, the other thing you can look at is if you look into View Console. That's also useful because if there's any error messages, say I had set the number of inputs wrong, it might give me an error message here that said wrong number of inputs. So that's another useful thing to see if you don't have this sort of green that your input is successfully hooked up. But in this case, we've got the input in here correctly. Then we go through our steps, right? So step 1 here is start recording. Before I do that, I'll save the model. So File, Save Project As. I'm going to put this in my FYS folder where I'm going to contain all of this, and I'm going to make a new folder even here called like Assignments. And in there, I'm going to call this Classifier A01 Classifier. Whatever you want to name it, but that's what I'll call it. Click OK, and now I've got this saved, and I can just keep clicking Save here to save my project as I go along. So now I'm going to start giving it the training data. So the first thing I decided is I want to do the edges. I'll call that category 1. Are my edges, and I'll start recording. This is all category 1. Anytime I'm near that edge should be category 1. And I'll stop recording. That's my edges. Now I'll do sort of left. That'll call category 2. Start recording. Left. Now I'm going to call the center stage area here. The center stage I'm just going to actually use right in the middle. Let's say I need to be right there. That'll be category 3. Start recording. That looks good. And then category 4 is going to be the rest of it here, this area sort of over here, back and then around here. So I'll start recording, and I've got all this area there will be category 4. And then again, once I've got some data in there, I can train it, and we'll see how well it works. So I click Train. Now it's done. Now I can run. When I run it, I may as well hook it up to an output so I can see what I'm doing. So again, I'll go back into Wekinator examples. I'll go to Outputs, and I'll go to Processing. I want is 1 classifier. So I want Processing Trigger Text 1 classifier. Now this is what I want. Again, 1 classifier, that's what I want. And so let's see how it works. So I'll click Run, and I'll get all my windows going here. I'm running my model over here. This is my output, so this is currently class 4. That's all my area on the right-hand side of the screen is 4. The edges should be class 1. That looks good. The center should be class 3, that looks good, and then stage left is class 2. So to me, this is doing basically what I wanted. I could now move it through all 4 categories in a sort of controlled way here. So let's say I enter from the back of the stage, I go into the left-hand side, I go to the center stage, then go to stage, sort of the right-hand side of the stage, and then maybe I'll come right up to the front, and that's back to class 1 again. So it's working basically the way I want it, but if it's not, you can always stop running and start recording and add some additional training examples as you move around which output you want in each location.